Hi, how's it going? This is Resident of Colwood for YouTube. Here to give my uh, reaction review to episode 80. This will be the last episode for tonight. This is written by Francis Swan, directed by Leela Swift. So, everything takes place in the Great House here. We had the previous episode take place in a couple different places. Um, Now, by the Great House, Vicky's room, the drawing room, the hall, like the foyer. Carolyn goes to her room, but you don't see the inside of Carolyn's room. Not in this episode, I mean. David Hennessy is not in this episode. Uh, who is in this episode is Joan Bennett, Louis Edmonds, Alexandra Okiasos, Joel Carruthers, and Nancy Barrett. So you get 5 people in this episode, and you have Bert, Roger. Roger's in the drawing room trying to retrace his steps and remember where he had the pen last. The fountain pen that Bert had given to Carolyn, and Roger took it from Carolyn. He said, "You ain't accepting no gift from Bert." So, that's how this opens up. And Vicky looks at him, and he stops. He goes, "You really do get around. You're very sneaky." She goes, "Well, next time I will wear wooden shoes." He goes, "Do you know, you know?" So she goes, "I know exactly what you were doing." Then there's this tense music. You get the opening, and he's like, "What was I doing?" "Practicing new dance steps." I love the joke that Vicky tells her. She's not serious. Like, come on. Um, He says, "No, I'm trying to look for some. I wish, but no, I'm trying to look for something I lost." He doesn't say what though. He's not here. At least not to her. He does say about the pen to Carolyn in this episode, and you have, Roger. Roger knows about, the potential Mrs. Johnson coming to work for family. He has a conversation with Liz that he doesn't feel that would be a good idea. She goes, "It's my decision." Basically reminding Roger, remember who the boss is. Yeah, yeah. Remember who the boss is. That's what my wife tells me all the time. So, so you have Vicky who's writing a letter in her room. I assume to the Hammond family now. Carolyn comes in, talks to her. Everybody. Also, Vicky came. By the way, so I forgot to mention that Vicky was looking for Dave. That's what she was doing when she was in the drawing room. Um, but Roger explains to her he was in town. He's probably back by now, and she goes, "Well, probably at his favorite hide spot, the old house." Then Vicky is in her room writing a letter. Carolyn comes talk to her about Joe Haskell. She hoped Joe would call. She, yeah, Vicky says, "We'll just call him." And she goes, "Well, okay, I'll just say it was your idea." And she does call Joe, and Joe is going to come up. Again, this is a whole new day, so Joe, or sorry, this is the same day that Mrs. Johnson yelled at Burke in public. so we're still on the same day. Apologies. Joe comes up, and Roger isn't too happy with Joe after because of last night's events. Who would be, right? This guy right here. This dude. Kick his ass, Joe. Kick his ass. He doesn't, unfortunately. And Elizabeth, decides to talk to Joe. She brings him into the jar, and they have a conversation about Carolyn. Surprise, surprise. Not really. Carolyn. And Joe marrying Carolyn. He goes, I've asked her. Roger actually walks in on this deliberately and goes, well, maybe she doesn't want to marry you. And Joe says that to take a dig. No, sorry, Roger says that to take a dig at Joe because of last night's proceedings. Elizabeth says she wants to talk to Joe alone. He goes, as you wish, and he leaves, closing the drawing room door. It's great character interaction here. Is this episode filler? Yeah, I would say mostly it is, other than the reveal at the end. This is filler right here. Because you're not really getting a lot. You're getting very little. But it's not bad either. It's not a bad episode. It's very fast paced. It moves very quick. And you do get a mention of Mrs. Johnson being. You do get a mention about how because Elizabeth wants to focus more on David, she needs all the help she can get, and that's when Carolyn does tell her mom, call Mrs. Johnson, and guess what? By the end of this episode, one of the most shocking things happened. She actually calls her. I'd like to talk to you about a job. And yes, you will get that. Don't worry. You will be insured because you need it when you work for the Collins film. Yes, accidental death, intentional death, death by ghost, death by being pushed off Widow's Hill. I'm sure that's all covered in the. I seriously do wonder. I'm not joking. What kind of insurance does the Collins family offer when you work for them? Like, what's their insurance policies? Like, how does it read? That would be interesting. That would be very, very interesting. When Joe's in the drawing room, Roger takes every effort to tell Carolyn about Joe had a date with Maggie. He didn't really have a date with her. He did dance with her. But, and I do mean but, he didn't go there to date her. He went there to have a drink. He was invited over to their table by Sam. But again, Roger's trying to get even. If you don't believe me, go ask Vicky. She doesn't fully ask Vicky. Actually, she does go up, but then she stops. She goes, it's a great sort of tense moment for the character of Nancy Barrett's, Carolyn, because she does a great job of stopping and going, no, he's telling me the truth, because when you go and ask someone else, you're getting the sense that somebody might be lying to you. Well, she does initially try to go, but she doesn't fully go into Vicky's room because the scene is one of the next scenes after that is after Carolyn explodes at Joe. Like, you want to be so independent, then do it without me. And then she goes up storming to Vicky's room. She goes, I don't know if I should be mad at you or not. I don't know if I should hate you or not. And Vicky says, why? She goes, you're supposed to be my friend. She goes, I am your friend. Why didn't you tell me about Joe and Maggie? And Vicky tells her, because there was nothing to tell. Maggie wasn't there just to Joe. Maggie was the only reason Maggie was there because her father was there. And Joe just joined them for drinks, It's like you're getting upset over nothing. is what Vicky is basically telling her. And, this prompts Carolyn to want to go to lookout, walk for a lookout point or beneath lookout point. Now, we don't actually get that scene here. We don't get Carolyn being at lookout point. But she does leave because when Roger's the big final sort of dun 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 moment at the end of this episode, one of the final moments is Roger coming to ask where Carolyn is, and because Roger knows she's not in the room, she goes, and Vic, because he's asking Vicky, Vicky's in her room, and Vicky says, well, she went to Lookout Point. He goes, and he noted she shows him the pen. He goes, my pen, I found this pen at Lookout. She goes, I found this pen at Lookout Point to Roger, but it's out of ink. And Roger realizes that's the pen he's been looking for. He knows Vicky has it. So it's very, very interesting. And again, the ending is Elizabeth reaching out to Mrs. Johnson. Yeah, we would like to hire. I'm calling you about a job. I think a lot of the great things about this episode isn't just like the stunning reveal of Roger knows Vicky has the pen. Carolyn is now jealous. Joe went on a date with Maggie. It wasn't really that much of it. It wasn't. Again, it was nothing. I'm with Vicky on this one. Team Victoria, all the way. But you do, again, we've been to the old house. We've had mentions of the old house, and you get another mention of the old house here. Because the old house is going to be even more part of the Dark Shadows story. You know, it was the original Collinwood. No, you don't find out in this episode. You found that out, well, a couple episodes ago. It's decaying, it's falling apart, it's very old. It's the old house. Because that's where they believe David is hiding, It's his favorite haunt, if you will. It's his favorite place to go. So, great locate, character mentions, which locations are characters. So, Lookout Point is a character. Rose Hill is a character. The Old House is a character. Their locations fictionally, but their characters all the way. Hope you guys enjoyed the row of videos today. Try this one's a little shorter than the rest. You guys have a good night. Take care.